Good afternoon. Welcome to the Mobile City Planning Commission meeting for August 21st, 2025. I'd like to take a moment to review our general operating procedures. This meeting will be divided into two sessions, the public hearing session and the deliberation session. In the public hearing, an agenda item is called. The applicant makes their presentation. Commission members ask questions, if any. Members of the public are allowed to make their comments to the commission. A reminder that only 4 people can speak for an agenda item and 4 people against. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes, subject to questions by the commission. At 1 minute, a speaker will hear a warning bell or a beep asking you to please summarize your comments. And if there is opposition, we will have an applicant allow a 2-minute rebuttal period to answer any questions. If you do intend to speak, come to the podium at the bottom of the stairs, speak in the microphone, and provide your name and address for our records. And please direct all your comments to the commission only and not the applicant, the staff, or the audience. After hearing all applications, the commission will go into deliberation where we will discuss each application with input from the staff as necessary, but with no input from the audience. Commissioners then vote on each application, and the results of that voting can be learned from the planning department. If issues arise during deliberation that were not addressed in the public hearing, we have the discretion to allow additional comments pertaining to those issues in order to resolve them, or we can call for the application to be held over for a later meeting. Occasionally, we may have a recusal from one of our commissioners from discussing or voting on a given application. That does not mean they are directly involved with the application or the applicant, but depending on the circumstances, ethical rules require the recusal, even if there's only the slightest appearance of a conflict of interest. The Planning Commission makes final decision on subdivisions with appeals of those decisions to the Circuit Court. The Planning Commission is strictly a recommending body for rezonings, conditional use permits, and plan developments. The City Council makes the final decision on those applications, and appeals of the City Council decisions are to the Circuit Court. This time, do me a favor and turn your cell phones to please don't take any calls in here. We'll ask you to do that outside. Commissioners and staff, please turn on your microphones when speaking. We'll go ahead and call the roll for today. I'll do that. Myself, Jay Stubbs, present. Mr. Kirk Matei. Ms. Jennifer Denson. Here. Mr. Harry Brislin. Mr. Larry Dorsey. Here. Mr. Chad Anderson. Mr. Matt Anderson. Mr. Nick Amberger.
Here.
Mr. Josh Woods.
Here. Mr.
Kenny Nichols.
Here.
Miss Ellie Edwards.
Here.
We do have a quorum, even with the noted recusals on those specific agenda items. I'll entertain a motion to approve this agenda.
So moved.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. We will move into number 1 on the agenda. This is a holdover from a previous meeting. This is at 2316 Hillwood Drive West. Conditional use permit approval to allow a short-term rental in an R1 single-family residential suburban district. Is the applicant present?
My name is Thomas Brewster. I'm here as a representative of R&P Investing.
All right, Mr. Brewster. I'll ask staff. I was not privileged to know what the reason for the holdover was from the previous meeting. If you wouldn't mind filling me in.
So the holdover was required for them to revise the site plan and to pick the location of all garbage cans or any other bins that they were going to use for waste removal. They also had to provide proof that the garbage or waste containers were screened from view via photographs and revise the site plan to illustrate the required off-street parking spaces. We did receive all of those requests, and if you look under your holdover considerations, there is the considerations for approval.
All right, Mr. Brewster, are you familiar with those considerations and in agreement with them if this goes to approval?
Yes.
Okay. The answer is yes from the applicant. Any questions or comments from commissioners? Is there anyone in the audience who is here to speak for or against or have questions pertaining to agenda item number 1 at 2316 Hillwood Drive West? All right, seeing none, we will move on. Thank you, Mr. Brewster. It is Brewster, correct? All right, thank you, sir. All right, these are new items on the agenda, starting with number 2. This is a subdivision at 7435 and 7495 Bowers Lane, inclusive of 7410 Old Military Road. This is a subdivision of 2 lots at just under 2.5 acres. Is the applicant present? The applicant is present by raising the hand. Are you, sir, in agreement with the 9 listed conditions from this application from the city staff? The applicant is in agreement with those 9 listed conditions. Is there anyone else here in the audience that is here to speak for or against or have questions pertaining to this application at Bowers Lane and Old Military Road? Any questions or comments from commissioners regarding this application? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you, sir. Number 3. This is a subdivision application at 710 Downtowner Boulevard, a subdivision of 2 lots at 3/4 of an acre. Should be noted here for Mr. Byrd that it is a potential denial based on the following or the 2 items listed. I'm sure you will have questions or address those. Go ahead, sir.
Right. Yes, staff report.
Name and address for the record.
Oh, excuse me. Jerry Byrd, Bird Surveying, 2609 Alls Mill Road, Mobile. The staff report leaned toward denial for 2 reasons, I think. One of which I have corrected with a plat looking like that, which has expanded the building area in the rear. That's back here to be 7,200 square feet. And then the flagpole is in excess of that, making a total of 11,064 square feet. That's one. Another mention is that flag lots are not common in the area. You have a copy of this. This is our proposed site at this end of the block. And there is a flag lot at the other end, Airport Boulevard being here and coming out on Downtown Loop North at the rear of that lot. But I would, based on that, I would like you to consider approval of the subdivision.
Has staff had an opportunity to review the material presented by Mr. Byrd?
Yes, sir. And if you look in your folder under item number 3, staff did prepare conditions of approval should the planning commission choose to approve the request.
Is that this considerations folder? That's what you're talking?
Yes, sir.
I just had never seen it. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Byrd, have you had a chance to review the 10 listed considerations?
Was it in the staff report?
No,
I can quickly go to, you want to listen?
All
up
of
and
the,
I'll give a quick run over of them.
Yeah.
Retention, number 1, retention of the right-of-way along Downtowner Boulevard. Number 2, revision of the plat to correctly label Downtowner Boulevard. Number 3, retention of the 50-foot minimum building setback along Downtowner Boulevard for Lot A. Number 4, retention of the 25 minimum building setback line on Lot B as blocked at the west terminus of the pole. Number 5, retention of the lot size labels in both square feet and acres on the final plat or the furnishing of a table on the final plat. 6, placement of a note on the plat stating no instructors are allowed to encroach into an easement without permission of the easement holder. 7, compliance engineering. 8, note on the plat for traffic. 9, compliance with urban. 10, compliance with fire.
we're in agreement.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments from commissioners on agenda item number 3 that has, according to staff, been satisfied for consideration?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Byrd, looking at your drawing, it looks like this proposed lot is primarily the parking lot for the existing facility. Have y'all looked at it? I mean, is there going to be, if this passes, is there adequate parking? You know, once that lot's carved off, you know, for the existing building.
Wait a minute. Yeah, the buildable area. The buildable area. I don't think there's any intention to build on this lot.
Okay.
Created mainly to temporarily convey to an adjoiner property that has an environmental concern. and then when that's cleaned up, be conveyed back.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments from commissioners? All right, is there anyone in the audience that is here to speak for, against, or have questions pertaining to 710 Downtowner Boulevard? All right, seeing none, we will move on. Thank you, Mr. Byrd. Talk to you later. Number 4 on the agenda, subdivision 6098 River Trace Drive South and east and west sides of Rabbit Creek Drive, extended 3/4 of a mile south to Hamilton Boulevard. This is the River Ends Estate subdivision, 46 lots, 276.5 acres. The subdivision has 12 conditions for approval. The applicant present? Applicant is present. Are you in agreement with the 12 listed conditions? Applicant is present and in agreement with the listed conditions. Any questions or comments on this agenda item from commissioners? Is there anyone in the audience that would have questions for or against or just in pertaining to this agenda item at River Trace Drive South? All right, seeing none, we will move on. We do have a recusal on this item. This is a sidewalk waiver subdivision request at the northwest corner of Loyola Lane and Provident Lane, St. Paul's Episcopal. Request to waive the construction of sidewalks along the west side of Provident Lane and a 315-foot portion of the north side of Loyola. Yes, sir.
Yep, Sean Estes with McCrory and Williams, 3207 International Drive. Yeah, the St. Paul's is asked for this waiver for a number of reasons, but the number one reason is safety for the kids. And we were going to have the Alex Lott, who is the Director of Safety and Security for St. Paul's, here today, but he's unable to attend because of his sick child. So he sent us an email, so I'm just going to read this email for one of my points here, okay? My name is Alex Lott. I am a Mobile County Sheriff's Deputy and the Director of Safety and Security for St. Paul's Episcopal School. This is my 13th year of law enforcement and 3rd year at St. Paul's. I would like to address my concern with a potential sidewalk being placed along Provident Lane and Loyola Lane. Provident Lane is primary thoroughfare for student foot and bike traffic. During the times of morning and afternoon carpool, the traffic safety crossing guard at Old Shell instructs students to use the sidewalk that is on the east side of Provident Lane. This sidewalk guides students to the next crossing guard on campus that can hold them in one centralized location until navigating them on campus. That crossing guard is located at Provident and Loyola. This sidewalk also allows enough separation from the carpool lanes as they enter and exit campus. Visibility in this area is difficult as vehicles are forced to make a right turn off of Old Shell onto Provident Lane due to power poles and on the east and west side of the street, and also a cresting curve, a small hill. If another sidewalk is placed on the west side of Provident Lane, this would cause students, parents, and other bystanders to come in close proximity to those vehicles turning with poor visibility. And he's included a little, basically a street view. This will also cause the crossing guard to manage 2 lanes of walking and biking traffic instead of 1. Children as young as 8 years old use this area daily, as well as over 100 bikes. Another sidewalk will cause a greater concern for student safety as they begin and end their school day. So he and along with the school, is concerned with, now they have kids on one side, the east side of Provident Lane, and then if we add another sidewalk on the west side of Provident Lane, then they're trying to manage 2 sidewalks and two flows of traffic. So that's the number one reason for this is safety. Another reason would be in their master plan, they have a possibility of widening that street. They would like to get maybe a the city to vacate that right-of-way along Provident and potentially widen Provident in that area. I don't know if, I'm sure everyone's familiar with how traffic backs out onto Old Shell in the mornings and afternoons. So if they could widen Provident and allow maybe a third lane of traffic there, then they could get people off of Old Shell. And then in doing that, if the sidewalk was in on this new track, then that would all have to be tore out. So those are 2 points. And then maybe the third would be on Loyola. On that south side, there's no traffic. That road is barricaded off with a permanent barricade. And so there's really no need for a sidewalk there. The kids use the pavement that's there as their walkway. So those are the 3 things that they'd like to have as a waiver, use as a waiver.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. Any questions or comments from commissioners regarding this sidewalk waiver application? Is there anyone in the audience?
I was just saying,
Go ahead.
I'm going off memory. I didn't see it in the history, but I feel like a few years ago, you came and opposed the sidewalk waiver on the east side of Provident, and the argument was that y'all didn't want kids going down Provident because y'all were sending kids down Dogwood. And I think we made y'all build the sidewalk waiver. Or
You did.
build the sidewalk? Okay.
That's correct.
So I really just wanted to give you a hard time because it's rivalry week, but this seems completely reasonable. I mean, it makes
Good one,
sense.
Kurt.
Like, it was the same kind of arguments we went the other way, but I think that all makes total sense.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? That's a good one. Anyone in the audience to hear speak for, against, or have questions pertaining to this potential sidewalk waiver? All right, seeing none, we will move on and welcome back Ms. Ellie Edwards. We'll move on to number 6, and we'll send away Mr. Kenny Nichols on recusal. This is agenda item number 6. This is a modification at 600, 700, and 800 West I-65 Service Road South. This is a major modification of previously approved PUD, public or planned unit development, allowing shared access and parking between 3 building sites to allow construction of a multifamily development with 240 dwelling units in multiple buildings across 3 building sites. Is the applicant present? Mr. Watkins, we have, just for your knowledge and for commissioners, potentially 8 findings of fact, and for the applicant, potentially 19 conditions listed. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jay Watkins, Maynard Nexton, on behalf of the applicant A&R Development Group. Given the number of conditions and other things on the staff report, we're respectfully asking a 30-day holdover to address a number of those conditions and concerns, and would like to ask staff if we could have until noon Wednesday to submit our modified site plan to reflect the changes that we'll make to meet those conditions and questions.
So the applicant's requesting a holdover. The next meeting date is September 18th with the filing deadline of August 18th. And we're asking staff if they can accommodate the request from the applicant. I'll first ask if September 18th agenda is clear enough.
Yeah, we can accommodate that.
And you're confirming you can accommodate the request by the applicant for noon of tomorrow?
Noon Wednesday.
Noon
Next
Wednesday of
Wednesday.
next week.
Yes.
They're okay with that?
Thank you.
All right. Seeing it is on the agenda, if anyone is in the audience that was here to speak for or against or have questions pertaining to this agenda item on West I-65 Service Road, you have an opportunity to speak now and ask questions now. Anyone? All right. Seeing none, we will welcome back Mr. Kenny Nichols. Move on to agenda item number 7. This is a modification at 550 Providence Park Drive East, the Providence Park Rehabilitation and Healthcare. It's a major modification of a previously approved PUD, it's amending approved master plan to allow construction of a healthcare facility with multiple buildings on a single building site. For commissioners' reference, there are potentially 8 findings of fact, and for the applicant, there are 7 conditions listed. Yes, sir.
Hey, good afternoon. David DeShare with Cadre Engineering. On behalf of the applicant, we're here as their agent. We're aware of the conditions and acknowledge those.
The applicant is present and aware of the conditions and in agreement on the modification. Any questions or comments from commissioners regarding this modification application?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
just for clarification, as far as the design and the layout of this, it appears that I guess there's going to be complete connectability between Cody and Providence Park Drive. Is that kind of just what I'm seeing with the subdivision and pulling everything together? I guess we're going to be therefore connecting Cody and Providence Park.
That's correct.
Okay. There will not be any type of between the future development and the proposed development now. We're not where the lot line is. There's not going to be any type of thing to any device or any barrier between the two to prevent.
There will be, yes. So there is a gate that will be closed that will have a Knox box for emergency access. But it's not intended to be a cross connection like that is permanently open for the public to use. It's just there for really convenient service use, emergency vehicle use.
And who will service that box? I guess the proposed or the gate there. Who will be responsible for it? I guess this proposed development or
that's
the
correct.
Future?
Okay. Yeah, and actually the owner is one of the same for both lots.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I would just make the engineer aware that this part of town is very susceptible to groundwater. So just design cautiously. Just be aware that area's got quite a bit of it.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Further comments or questions from commissioners? All right, I'll ask the audience if there's anyone here to speak for, against, or have questions pertaining to 550 Providence Park Drive East modification. Okay, we will move on to agenda item number 8. We will again recuse Mr. Kenny Nichols. This is a rezoning application at 250 St. Francis Street, amendment to Downtown Development District Regulation Plan to rezone the property from T-51 to T-52. That's 5.1 to 5.2. For consideration here, we would have 7 potential findings of fact, commissioners. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Jay Watkins, Maynard Nexon, 11 North Water Street, 36602. Representing A&R Development Group, Mr. Ken Patel on this rezoning. As you can see from the overhead, this is the east half of the block downtown, which is bounded by Jackson Street, St. Francis, St. Michael, and Joachim. It's currently a paved parking lot. Mr. Patel would like to redevelop this site into a 140 plus or minus room branded hotel. The current zoning at T51 allows smaller hotels. We would like to go up to T52 in order to allow the taller hotel with more accommodations. This is intended to be branded and to be more of an extended stay type product, which is a little different than what we have in the downtown area. As justifications under the rezoning, we would point out that this is consistent in keeping with the comprehensive plan. It is compatible with current development trends in the downtown area. The surrounding land uses are similar. We've got other hotels, Candlewood Suites, the Hilton Garden Inn are all in close proximity to this site. Also in terms of size and scale, this is compatible with some of the surrounding properties. It is bounded by T51 and T52 properties, so the rezoning would not be out of character in keeping with the surrounding properties. But most importantly, I think what we're looking at here is just the change that we're seeing in the downtown market. We've got the train service now. We've got expanded cruise. We've got the new airport moving to Brooklyn. We've got the improvements at the Civic Center. We've got the potential for development for the Africatown Heritage House, the Battleship. All of this are driving traffic into Mobile, and we believe that the changing conditions in the downtown area would justify and support rezoning this site from T51 to T52. I'm happy to answer questions. We have Mr. David Clark with Mobile Visitors Convention Corporation here to speak as well, to talk a little bit more about the conditions in downtown Mobile and what a new hotel would do for the city.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. I'll ask first if any questions from commissioners regarding this opportunity and this rezone.
Could the staff explain the main differences between 5.1 and 5.2 for everybody? I know the biggest one is probably the height difference. Is there anything else significant about this change?
I believe it was in a pre-development meeting that we discussed this. And the main difference with respect to this request was the height difference and allowing the additional floor. In the context of this request, that's pretty much the only difference that they've made the request to accommodate.
And I would point out to the commission, we have submitted renderings that are in your packet. Those were provided at the neighborhood meeting to provide neighbors with a sense of the scope and scale of this project. They're by no means intended to be illustrative of what's going to be built there. We know we've got to comply with the DDD. We've got to comply with ARB with respect to the Lower Dolphin Street Historic District. So as you're looking at those renderings, please don't think that's what's being built. That's simply to show kind of the scale of the property, the site coverage, just to give you an idea of what St. Francis Street corridor may look like with this facility built. The applicant certainly intends, if the rezoning is successful, to go to the next step in the design and of the facade and of the actual building, and would be going through the CRC process as well as the ARB review and approval.
Mr. Watkins, did you conduct the community meeting, or were you present?
I did.
And was it well attended?
I would say we probably had 15 or 20 people there, mostly from DeTonti or from the downtown area. I think most of their concerns, as I just mentioned, were when they saw those renderings, they thought, like, this is a nasty, ugly white box building that doesn't fit in downtown Mobile. So we had to really kind of reiterate the fact that they were just for scope and scale. That's not what the applicant intends to build. And I think there was some questions regarding the parking, losing that parking lot as part of the downtown area. And I think if you look at the aerials or some of the other scope maps, you'll see that there is plentiful surface lot parking around this area. I think this is about 80 spots maybe that would be coming out of inventory. But given the parking deck at adjacent to the Admiral Sims, as well as the parking deck down on Royal Street and what RSA's got, there's a substantial amount of parking in the downtown area.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins.
Is there any parking restrictions? I know some of the zoning down here,
There's no required parking for this development, although the applicant is providing certain on-site parking, and will make accommodations for additional parking off-site.
Is there anyone in the audience that is here to speak for, against, or have questions pertaining to this rezone from T-5.1 to T-5.2? Again, reminders, please state your name and address for the record.
Hey, Jeremy Milling, Milling Commercial Realty, 220 St. Michael Street, 36602. I have the office building that is at the northeast corner of St. Michael and Joachim. And we did attend the community meeting as well, and definitely support the rezoning. The one thing that became really clear to me in that community meeting is that the drawings they submitted, which I completely understand are not in your purview as far as the aesthetics, and those are other boards and committees to approve, but just how out of place the one that they submitted was. And as somebody who worked very hard on the new DDD code years ago under the Alliance, placing a form-based code that really is supposed to have predictability and reliability as far as, the aesthetic, and that it fits into the fabric of downtown. And so I just would like on public record to make that comment so that the developer will take that to heart, because I do think that, there is a need for this product. I'm absolutely not against it, especially as a neighbor, but I do think it's extremely important to put the effort into making it fit within the fabric and the aesthetic of downtown. And so we'll be watching that very clearly.
Thank you, Mr. Milling.
Thank you.
And again, sir, a reminder for name and address for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Commission. David Clark. I'm actually a resident at 412 Dauphin Street, and I'm President and CEO of Visit Mobile on 1 South Water Street. I'm speaking for on both accounts from a tourism standpoint and from a residence, which is really about 2 blocks away from the site. I'm in favor of the development. The Home2 Suites brand has performed well since even pre-COVID-19. Most scales in the United States of America and throughout the state of Alabama are down in occupancy. Most are up in rate. However, the Home2 Suites brand is in the upper mid-scale, and it's showing positive occupancy. And I think that's a very interesting fact. It's under the Hilton brand. It is a very, very good product. I think downtown Mobile is very unique and has a very high barrier to lodging entry and a high growth potential as well, especially when you look at the generational developments that are coming on board. More hotel room night supply is definitely going to be in need with these developments, and the anticipated conventions, the meetings, the leisure, and all the manufacturing that's going to also start taking place and increasing. You know, with the recent $700 million in tourism investing consistent of the new downtown international airport to open late 26, 3 miles from this property, a new arena to open in 27, with the largest venue operator in the world managing that now with Oakview Group, and the largest entertainment booker in the world with Live Nation. These investments are going to give us better airlift. They're going to have more concerts, more programmable events every day, more leisure and business travel than ever before. Notwithstanding these investments, we'll make an announcement very soon on a specific cruise ship with Carnival Cruise Lines that will start in 27 full-time. Right now we have the Carnival Spirit that's half-time. That's going to be increasing demand as the new ship will have over 5,000 passengers and crew on board, 4 cruises a month. We think that's going to be a really big deal for our hoteliers. The Visit Mobile team has booked more conventions and meetings than ever before in the last 7 consecutive years when you look at the previous 25 years by almost double. One thing we run into very often now in talking to meeting planners, we peak at about 700 to 800 peak room nights is kind of a sweet spot because it gets harder to find the walkable room nights downtown beyond that. This hotel and more supply is needed to capture that demand and future demand that will be coming. And so, the Home2 Suites will give us the ability to even attract larger conventions. We really need another 350 rooms to capture the future supply or demand that's coming in. Lastly, Mobile's Tourism Improvement District. You think about marketing and how you do that. We just passed, thanks to the mayor and the city council, Josh and team, a new 5-year renewal that will double the resources in marketing, lodging, attractions, and restaurants, double. I'm talking 40 million over the next 5 years as opposed to 20 million. We'll be able to really help with the demand. The port is expanding, Airbus is expanding, Austal's expanding. They're adding jobs and distribution is increasing. So all these things mean more room nights, more business, transient, leisure, bleisure, conventions, and meetings. So this is a really great project. I do want to point out too, in the last 8 years, I've had a lot of dealings with A&R. They were very helpful in the collaborations of forming the Tourism Improvement District. I admire their company and their leadership very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak for or against? Well, there would only be one more for speaker. Anyone here that's questions or in opposition to this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we will move on to number 9. This is the dual application phase of our agenda items. We can welcome back Mr. Kenny Nichols. Number 9 is a subdivision application and a modification at 4350 Moffett Road, Fred Marshall Court subdivision. The subdivision is one lot at 8.94 acres. And then the major modification of a previously approved PUD to allow multiple buildings on a single building site to allow construction of a multifamily development with 50 dwelling units and multiple buildings on a single building site. There are 9 conditions listed for the potential subdivision and 8 findings of fact for commissioners potentially for the modification. And on the modification, there are 21 listed conditions. Mr. Byrd.
Yes. Jerry Byrd, Byrd Surveying, 2609 Halls Mill Road, Mobile. We were here approximately 2 meetings ago, and the subdivision was approved. It was incorrectly presented, shown on the city website and in the deed to the property. The entrance drive from Moffett Road to the basic property was shown as owned by the major part of the lot. That was incorrect. In 1962, there was a deed from the owner at that time to Mobile County, deeding that section to the county. And then through annexation, it's become city street. That's the only change on this application, is to eliminate that entrance drive, showing it we're actually on a city street at the north end of that city street. And that eliminates the need for rezoning.
Thank you for that clarification and resubmission. Is there any questions from commissioners regarding the dual application?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
just out of curiosity, Mr. Byrd, just because I'm fascinated with
What?
it, out of curiosity, there's houses down that street, right?
There's one. Yes. On the west side of the street, adjoining our property.
Huh.
And actually, the one on the east side has a driveway that turns in off of that street.
But that address on the east side would be Moffett as well. But
Right.
Interesting. Okay.
There's no street sign out there.
Well, I guess if you've done the research to prove that it's actually city right away, I'll just ask the staff to coordinate with our GS department to make sure that gets memorialized correctly.
Any further questions or comments from commissioners regarding this dual application? Be noted that you did have a comment submitted on this application, commissioners, so that should be in your folders on public comments. And now I'll ask if there's anyone in the audience, thank you, Mr. Byrd, if there's anyone in the audience that is here to speak for or against or have questions towards this application, dual application at 4350 Moffett Road. All right, seeing none, we will move on. Number 10, also a dual application, subdivision and modification at 348 and 360 North McGregor Avenue, the Mordecai Lanes subdivision. The subdivision application is 2 lots at 11.45 acres, and the major modification is of a previously approved planning approval allowing construction of the water tower in an R1 single-family residential suburban district to modify lot lines in coordination with the proposed subdivision. There are potentially 9 conditions, or there are 9 conditions for the subdivision application, and then there are potentially 8 findings of fact with 10 listed conditions on the modification. Is the applicant present?
Brett Orrell with Poly Surveying. I was speaking with staff earlier. I just want to get some clarification on setbacks. If Logan, if you can.
So this property is located within the Village of Spring Hill overlay, within the Neighborhood General Subdistrict. Instead of a 25-foot setback requirement, the Article 13 of the UDC has a minimum setback requirement of 6 feet and a maximum setback requirement of 18 feet. So we would suggest amending the proposed condition number 4 to state compliance with the standards of Article 13, the compliance with the setback standards of Article 13, Table 64-13.4.3.
Would that be condition number 3? You mentioned number 4. Am I looking at the right one?
That's correct. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong.
Yeah. So it's condition number 3, Mr. Burrell.
So it would be number 3 on the subdivision and number 4 on the modification request.
Yeah, we're in agreement with that.
The applicant is in agreement with that comment and adjustment from staff, given the Spring Hill overlay. Any questions or comments from commissioners?
Jay, if you give me a minute, I know there's some people here probably inquiring about this. Just
Yeah,
to give
so
you an
let's do
overview
that,
of
Mr. Orrell, give you an opportunity to, because we do have some citizens here from that neighborhood. Go ahead and take your
Yeah,
time.
so this property is some old property that's owned by both the city and Malls. Malls operates on the western side, retained as Lot 1. The city intends to retain Lot 2. That's the main purpose of this, is to sever that tie and that relationship. We've been working on this, believe it or not, since like 21. So we're finally getting to this point, and that's why we're here. The planning approval is a requirement due to, you hear it's a modification of an old document. So all it is a submittal of what is existing there today. There's no current plan to do anything, any kind of changes, and it even notes within there that any changes, I believe it states from the planning approval, would have to go to the Board of Adjustment or City Council for that. So just want to clarify what's going on here. It's simply a lot line modification, if you call it, to separate 2 entities, with the city retaining 2, Malls retaining 1.
Thank you for that. And I will now see if there's anyone in the audience that would like to have questions towards this application. And a reminder, sir, for your name and address for the record.
All right. Well, first, good afternoon, Chairman Stubbs and the members of the Planning Commission and city personnel who are here. My name is Dan Reamer. I'm a retired physician, practiced in Mobile for almost 40 years, and I live at 3763 Mordecai Lane, which is where our family built our home 35 years ago. We're about 100 yards from the eastern edge of the Malls property. I have the privilege of being today's representative of the Spring Hill Cemetery Neighborhood Association, and I'm here to speak to you about the possible future development of the 7.5 acres or more of land that you're being asked to subdivide today on behalf of the Malls request. Let me first say that our neighborhood association was organized to encompass from Spring Hill Avenue to Old Shell Road and from McGregor Avenue to Tut Hill Lane. That's about 170 private homes. Now we have at least 100 members out of that neighborhood area as part of our association, watching closely what happens to this property once it's subdivided. We have had multiple requests over the last week, especially from people who have heard about this, who live across Spring Hill Avenue behind St. Ignatius School, from people in Spring Hill Manor who live across McGregor, and those who live to the east of Tut Hill, down Stein, Cedars, and around Mary B. Austin. Everyone is focused on this particular large piece of property and have very strict thoughts about what they would like to see it become. That is not before you today. We understand that. So let me say, we are not here today to oppose the subdivision by Malls of the property they own, but we are here to let you know, and the city of Mobile and the other employees of the city, that we will be monitoring the future proposals for this piece of property closely, and we are prepared to prevent any attempt to move it from to any other zone other than R1, which is what it currently is. Of course, we would vehemently oppose apartments, condominiums, small lot, single homes, putting 50 homes or so on this property, other concepts like that people are concerned about. So let me just call to your attention one fact, and that is that right now we live, our neighborhood, within walking distance of 3 of the best schools in Mobile. St. Ignatius Catholic School has 674 children. Mary B. Austin has 505 children. St. Paul's Episcopal has 1,213 children. Add those together, that's 2,342 children every morning move through our neighborhood, near or around our neighborhood to get to those schools, and in the afternoon they go home. Many walk, but the vast majority, in my opinion, are taken by car, and the traffic is unbelievable morning and afternoon because of that. You add that together, morning and afternoon, that's 4,600 trips occurring by some method in our area. We do not want more traffic in our neighborhood. I'll mention we already are concerned of the potential of increased cut-through traffic because of the new hotel that's been approved and is moving forward, I suspect, at the old Armory location on Museum Drive. And that's fine. A lot of that traffic is supposed to go out on McGregor down to Spring Hill or go west on Spring Hill or whatever. But what it's going to do is back up on McGregor, and people are going to cut through our neighborhoods on Stein, Cedars, and Mordecai. We have people speeding through already. We don't want more. So we're going to watch this potential development extremely closely. If you have any other questions, I'm here to answer them, but that's our comment.
Thank you, Dr. Reamer. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to comment towards this application, either for or against, or have questions towards it? And again, a reminder for your name and address for the record.
Okay, thank you. My name is Dominic Broadus. I own property at 3824 Mordecai Lane and 420 McGregor. So 3824 is directly across from the abandoned reservoir. And I've been there since my father built that place in 1970. As a matter of fact, I'm not here to oppose it, but I went to, and this division is located in Sandtown, which is the oldest African-American neighborhood in Mobile. As a matter of fact, Mordecai and Shipes and Knowles Lane, when I was growing up, were dirt roads. And my father was the postman in this area for Spring Hill. Baptiste brought us. And he did a lot to make sure we got our roads paved, lights put on those lots, because back in the early 70s or mid 70s, they still considered Sandtown, you know, for the black neighborhoods, and those streets weren't paved, but you'd go halfway up Mordecai and it was paved, or halfway up Shipes Lane and it was paved. We also got the city of Mobile to build us a park in the 70s, right after that reservoir, and between the reservoir and where the tower is. I'm not opposed to the development. Like Dr. Reamer says, I like for it to be residential, but I also want to make the city aware that, you know, that's part of Sandtown, and it'd be nice to have something that commemorates Sandtown when they're doing that development, be it a street, a plaque, or something. I just want to make it known that, you know, that's in our neighborhood. It's right across from where I was raised. The city had gave us a park one time. They took it away for the malls. We're not asking for the park back. We know you're going to develop it, but we would like some consideration, or I would like some consideration to show that that was a part of Sandtown. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Broadus, for your comment, and I'm sure some people will take note of those comments regarding your potential for that
All right, thank you.
commemoration.
We'll be watching too, like Dr. Raymer said. I will.
Any other questions or comments from from the audience? All right, Dr. Reamer, we're good?
I'm sorry, very, very quickly, we failed to ask, or I failed to ask, if we could have an understanding of what was marked as Mordecai Park.
That's what
on
Mr.
the
Broadus
city-
just
On the city
discussed.
revenue, if someone could explain ownership of that and who has title, and is it city property, and where does it stand now from the malls people? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Reamer. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to number 11 on the agenda. This is also a dual application of a subdivision and a rezone. 2602, 2610, 12, 14, and 16 Old Shell Road, and then 105 and 107 Item Avenue, the 10-7 subdivision. On that subdivision application, it's one lot at 3 1/3 acre. On the rezone, the application is to go from residential urban district R1 and neighborhood business urban B2 to neighborhood business urban B2. So this would be a combination, or taking two zones and combining them as to one, as I understand that. There are potentially, there are 9 conditions on the subdivision, potentially 8 findings of fact for commissioners on the zone application. Yes, Mr. Byrd.
Jerry Byrd, Byrd Survey, 2609 Halls Mill Road, Mobile. Purpose of the rezoning is to go to one complete zone, the way the property has been developed over the years. According to staff report, 1967, when the zoning ordinance was brought in, they split zone the property at that time. The southern portion of the property is zone B2, with this long portion in the back still continuing to be R1. After that, other buildings has been built back there, and B2 businesses have been located there for a number of years, I think exceeding 30 years. And the property sold approximately 2 years ago. The new owners would like to clean up that zoning into the proper zoning classification. And in conjunction with that, doing a one-lot subdivision of all the property that they have. That's what we have.
Are you in agreement with the 9 conditions regarding the subdivision should the zoning go through?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Byrd. Any questions or comments from commissioners regarding this dual application? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against or have questions pertaining to this application? Again, a reminder for your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Torres Wagner, and I'm a resident in 109 Anthem Avenue.
Can you pull the microphone a little bit closer, ma'am? Thank you so much.
I'm a resident in 109 Item Avenue, and I have a specific question regarding 105 and 107 Item Avenue. I have 2 questions. The first question is how this potential rezoning could affect the neighbors in terms of the value of the property and the change of daily routines with intense traffic and noise. And the second question is if these two properties in Item Avenue are rezoned, will there be restrictions in terms of what kind of businesses could it be? All the properties, all the businesses in Old Shell are industrial or commercial, but the one in 107, it's a residential. I live next to that property. It will not be the same if that property is turned into another Southern Glass or Fab Optique. So Those are my two specific questions.
All right. Mr. Byrd, did you hear those? Okay. Well, I think the first question was, will it, the value, potential impact on the value of the residences along Item Avenue and Highland Avenue, which are considered to be the backyard of those homes. And then the second question was the potential for the development, I believe, of what would be going on this B2. Is there any plan thus far?
There's no plans to revise anything that's there. They have been cleaning up, painting, some repairs. Businesses are still staying there. The same one was there that probably when the people in Item Avenue purchased their property. But like I say, there's no plans for any changes or additions to the building at present.
So does that, ma'am, answer your question with respect to that? Do you have another one?
If I understood correctly, if there are no plans of changing, why it needs to be rezoned from neighborhood to residential?
I'll address that. It's a cleanup. There's currently businesses that are technically on residential property.
Mhm.
And that R1 designation in the zone needs to be changed to the congruent zoning of the property that faces Old Shell Road, which is B2.
Mhm.
So this is an application to clean that up with respect to the zoning and the plat and how it's filed with the city. Am I?
Mhm. Okay. So if there's no, if I understood correctly, if there are no changes, there's only going to be a cleanup and a rezoning for that, but that will not affect at all the neighbors on Adden Avenue.
That's correct. And if there's any additional development that's going to occur, it's got to come back. If it's B2, it can remain B2, but any further changes would have to come back through the Planning Commission.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments from members of the audience regarding this application? All right, we will move on to the final application agenda item. There is other business after this and after we get through deliberation. Number 12 is a dual application of a subdivision and a rezone at 7211 and 7221 Cottage Hill Road. It's been recommended for holdover until the September 18th meeting next month. Is the applicant present? Are you in agreement with that holdover? The applicant is present and in agreement with the holdover. Is there anyone in the audience, because it is on the agenda, that has questions or comments for this agenda item at Cottage Hill Road, 7211 and 7221? All right, thank you, sir. We will now close the public hearing and move back to number 1 on the agenda. This is the holdover of the rezone on the short-term rental at 2316 Hillwood Drive. The applicant was present, Mr. Brewster. He was in agreement with the conditions that were listed, and staff was in agreement with the reapplication, if you will. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations, adopting findings of facts 1, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded with findings of fact 1, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for rezone, short-term rezone passes. New application, agenda item 74, number 2, 7435, 7495 Bowers Lane, and 7410 Old Military Road. The applicant was present and in agreement by raise of hand with the 9 conditions. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, subject to staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for subdivision of those 2 lots passes. Number 3, subdivision at 710 Downtowner Boulevard. Mr. Byrd presented and staff was in agreement on the resubmission of the information. and Mr. Byrd was in agreement with the listed conditions for this subdivision. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations and including the additional proposed considerations.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for that subdivision passes. Number 4, subdivision at 6098 River Chase Drive South, east and west sides of Rabbit Creek Drive, extending to south to Hamilton Boulevard. The applicant is present and in agreement with the 12 listed conditions. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for subdivision passes. We will ask Ms. Edwards to recuse on number 5, sidewalk waiver at St. Paul's along Loyola and Provident Lane, northwest corner of Loyola Lane and Provident Lane. Request to waive the construction of the sidewalks along the west side of Provident Lane and the 315-foot portion of north side. Mr. Estes was in here for the applicant and presented their reasoning for sidewalk waiver. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve the sidewalk waiver.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The sidewalk waiver passes. We can welcome back Ms. Ellie Edwards. We have to send away Mr. Kenny Nichols. This is a number 6 on the agenda, modification, agenda 600, 700, and 800 West I-65 Service Road. The applicant is present and request holdover. And the specific notes are to have the material into the city staff by noon of Wednesday of next week. And it would be on the September 18th meeting. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
This application will be held over until September 18th. We can welcome back Mr. Nichols. Number 7, modification application at 550 Providence Park Drive East. Potentially 8 findings of fact and 7 listed conditions. The applicant is present and was in agreement and had no questions regarding the findings of fact or the conditions. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations adopting findings of facts A through H.
Properly moved and seconded with findings of fact A through H. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for modification passes. We will recuse Mr. Kenny Nichols for number 8 on the agenda, which is a rezone of 250 St. Francis Street. This is a rezone from T-5.1 to T-5.2. The applicant is present and positioned the current parking lot for the development with other speakers in support or just watching after this development. Entertain a motion for the rezone.
Move to approve, subject to staff recommendations adopting findings of facts A, C, D, E, and G.
Properly moved and seconded with findings of fact A, C, D, E, and G. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for rezone passes. We can welcome back Mr. Nichols. Number 9 on the agenda, this is the dual application at 4350 Moffett Road, Fred Marshall Court subdivision. Mr. Byrd explained that the application needed to be adjusted due to the street being owned by the county. Mr. Byrd is in agreement with the 9 listed conditions. For commissioners, there's potentially 8 findings of fact on the modification and 21 listed conditions, of which Mr. Byrd was in agreement with. Entertain a motion. And there was comments for commissioners to review. There was one comment submitted online.
Mr. Chairman, do we have the two items, the subdivision and the PUD mod, or just the PUD mod? Sorry,
What was
These are two separate
Two-
applications.
I'm gonna, yep. So let me separate them now. We'll take the subdivision first. Entertain a motion for the subdivision.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations.
Second.
The motion is seconded. All in favor for the subdivision?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for the subdivision passes. And for the modification,
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations adopting findings of facts A through H.
Second.
properly moved and seconded with findings of fact A through H. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion or the agenda for modification passes. Number 10, dual application. Subdivision at 348 and 360 North McGregor Avenue, and then the modification on the same property. Mr. Orrell was here to explain the reasoning behind it, was in agreement with the non-listed conditions of the subdivision, and for our consideration, 8 findings of fact and 10 listed conditions.
Question for staff, is that entire parcel in the overlay?
What you see behind you and in your packet, yes, it is within the neighborhood general, Vosh.
So there was an adjustment that Mr. Orrell was in agreement with respect to condition number 3 on the subdivision.
Mr. Chairman, are you going to take those separately?
We are taking them separately, so entertain a motion on the subdivision.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations modifying condition number 3.
Properly moved and seconded with the condition to reference the table from the overlay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Subdivision does pass. Modification.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations adopting findings of facts A through H and modifying setback condition number 4.
Properly moved and seconded with findings of fact A through H, and then the setback on the condition. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion for modification passes. Number 11, dual application of subdivision and rezone will be taken separately. This is at the 2600 block of Old Shell Road, and then 105 and 107 Item Avenue. Applicant is present and in agreement with the 9 listed conditions on the subdivision. So entertain a motion on the subdivision.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for subdivision passes. For the rezone to go from R1 and B2 separate to congruent B2, there are potentially 8 findings of fact and then compliance condition. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations adopting findings of facts A, C, D, E, F, and G.
Properly moved and seconded with findings of fact A, C, D, E, F, G. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for rezone passes. Number 12, subdivision and rezone dual application at 7211 and 7221 Cottage Hill Road has been recommended for holdover to September 18th. Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion for holdover passes. Other business regarding subdivision applications previously submitted. We have some adjustments. I'll turn it over to staff just for clarification.
Sorry, give me just one second. So the request, and the applicant is here to explain it a little bit better than I can. But essentially, there's a note under the approval conditions, condition number 2 in the letter of decision that originally stated that one of the requirements was placement of a note on the final plat stating that at such time as 4A Road is developed, it will be required to be developed to city standards per section 9D of the subdivision regulations. And again, the applicant will explain his reasoning behind this request, but the request is to revise that note to state that placement of a note on the final plat stating that at such a time as 4A Road is developed as a road, it will be required to be developed to city standards per section 9D of the subdivision regulations. So the distinction there is that if it is developed as a road, it would then be developed to those standards. If it is not developed as a road, perhaps as a driveway or a private easement, that it does not at this time have to be developed to city standards.
Pretty straightforward to me. Any further application, information from the applicant?
Approve it. I'm Adam Metcalf, Metcalf and Company, 5 Dolphin Street. Do you have any specific questions about, because it's kind of a long story and I hate to take your time, but.
Which one is this?
This is located under other business.
On your pad, it's located under other business.
This came before us 3 or 4 months ago. Is that right, Adam?
Yeah. It's when we got the plat back and we saw, and I started looking. I'll give you a quick rundown. If you can switch back to the other slide. All the property there is owned by Airgas. They occupy, their business is on lot 2, accessed by Hamilton Boulevard. They have no use for the area of lot 1, so they want to sell it. So in order to do that, we had to subdivide. During our title research, we found this 4 road, and it showed up on a plat somewhere through title. The intention, from what I learned, the intent of it was not necessarily to be a road, but just sort of a secondary access drive to the property directly to the east, for the concrete company that was there, the construction company that was there, up until such time as East Wright Road. You can pull the other, see the East Wright Road? That was constructed to city standards, and it provides access to the area that's zoned industrial right there. So there's really no use for the road. It goes right through Airgas property, but the owners of the new owners of the construction company just say, we just don't want to give it up. So I tried. The wording of it, what concerned me was, and when we sell lot 2, the practical access for that development will be where the 4 road is, because there is a curb cut to Highway 90 right there. So what will happen practically is someone will build a building there, put their business there, and the driveway for it, the entrance, will be on the 4 road. So my concern was the way it was written, the word developed. So if we pave 100 feet of it, does that mean we have to pave 1,000 feet of road to city standards? That's why just the change in wording. Oh, no, we love to. Well, we can't. No, the owner of the construction company on the other side. And it's not a right of way. It's not, there's no description of it. It just showed up on a plat somewhere. And we tried to get rid of it, but we couldn't. It dead ends. Yes. And and that's, it's not a road. You know, you could drive over it, but it's not a road. It's an access. And the property's all fenced and everything.
Just the property to the east has an access.
Yes, it has 2. It has 2.
Business.
And they did use it occasionally up until East Wright Road was built. Now, if you could require that other property owner to give it up, that'd be great. I don't think you could do that. Can you do that, Doug? Yeah, I failed on that one. Any questions?
None from me. Any questions or comments from commissioners regarding this restated note on the final plat that is written with the addition of 7 letters, as a road?
Right. By the way, staff was very helpful in coming up, trying to fix this thing.
Any questions or concerns from commissioners? All right, I'll move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for the change on the wording on the final plat passes. Other business at 7210 14th Street. The applicant is requesting to remove condition 2 in the letter of decision, dedication to provide 25 feet from the center line of Lincoln Boulevard. Can you provide some clarity or background on that, please?
So this actually came up last meeting where it was discussed that Lincoln Boulevard terminates to the north into a property that is developed, I believe, for use as a religious facility. And at this time, there's no intent to improve that road because as of right now, it's not paved, if I'm not mistaken. And because of that, they didn't see the need to dedicate the additional 25 feet to the center line simply because of those two factors. They're not going to develop the edge of a road into a private property, and they're not improving the public access at this point in time. And so the applicant is simply requesting to waive that requirement.
Is staff okay with waiving that requirement?
Staff does not have a recommendation. That is for the planning commission to discuss and decide.
Nick, any questions here?
Well, I'd like to see what the road looks like. I mean, 30 feet's not even, almost even a driveway. You know.
Where is this?
The request did not have to provide.
Okay, it's Lincoln. Okay, so it's.
We have a question from Commissioner Kirk Matei on where is this?
Are we getting notice of these things?
When we email you the links to the staff reports and the agendas and everything, those are embedded into the actual information that was provided. The agenda itself actually has the links to the case from the previous meeting date that contains all of the application materials. This particular location is in the Mobile Terrace community, just off of Cody Road north, north of Old Shell Road.
Can you go back to the other drawing a second? So it's not where it's saying the 10-foot widening dedicated. It's really what would effectively be 5 feet on Lincoln Boulevard. I mean, if it's 40 feet now, we're basically asking for 5 feet. The original conditions we're adding, we say 25 feet from the center line.
Right, to provide 25 feet to the center line, which would basically facilitate a 50-foot wide right-of-way along Lincoln Boulevard, which would be standard for any road that's developed to current standards with curbing and gutter.
Mr. Amberger, I'm looking at the aerial photograph, and it looks like that Lincoln Boulevard, currently the asphalt terminates at the north side of 14th Street right-of-way.
Yeah.
And there is no asphalt at all because it goes into essentially what becomes someone's backyard.
Yeah, I mean, just the challenge is, and this really for my fellow commissioner ears is, you know, is when the elected officials, when the citizens want sidewalks and then the city councilors wanted to provide that to them, if there's no real estate, we can't do anything with it. I don't know that there's a desire to build sidewalks through here or if there's an effort with it, but it's just, that's just a consideration. And quite frankly, 50 feet is typically not wide enough. Like when you just start dealing with the built environment, you know, you're twisting and turning around power poles and light, light poles and just everything that's out there. I would say I'm not aware of any current plan to pursue anything like that in that area, but it's just, that's the reason why. I have no objection to removing the dedication requirement.
I did the last one. You can do this one.
Mr. Chair,
Go
I
ahead.
do want to point out that what was not provided in the agenda is the specific section of the subdivision regulations that needs to be waived to accommodate that request. If you give me just a second, I'll verify that.
6E3.
I'm,
We have a recusal. We still maintain a quorum.
Just one more comment for the staff. If I don't know if the technology in this room is available for us to be able to look at Google Street View when these situations come up like that, because it's just, I mean, just the plan drawings like that really just don't show us enough. So if y'all can look into that for the next meeting, that would be very helpful.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Well-
the county does not give us internet access, so.
Josh has it pulled up on his iPad.
Um,
Can you hold it up,
So
Josh?
6 dot,
Yeah. The perks of an elected official. There you go.
so, Mr. Chairman, the specific section that would need to be waived is section 6.b.9. B is in boy.
B or D?
B is in
B is
boy.
in boy.
Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we remove condition number 2 via the waiver of 6B9, 6.B.9.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The removal request from the letter of decision on 7210 14th Street, condition 2, is approved to be removed.
Don't ask for a sidewalk.
Next is a public hearing for the proposed amendment to the subdivision regulation with the addition of the adopted provision of the Historic Avenue overlay. This is a call for public hearing.
Do you want me to explain it again?
You don't have to. I think we're all in agreement, but you're asking for calling for a public hearing to have the addition adopted, or is it to adopt the
This
addition?
is the public hearing for.
This is the public hearing.
Yes.
I see a couple of people. Is there any questions or comments regarding the Historic Avenue overlay addition to our subdivision regulations? Was there anything submitted online? I did not see anything. All right. Public hearing is now closed for the Historic Avenue overlay addition. Last but not least, we will batch these. This is review of and approval of minutes from the following Planning Commission meetings, October 5, 19, and December 7 and 21 of 2023.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
can we take a vote on the, we need to take a vote on the Historic Avenue overlay.
Let's do that. I'll reverse backwards. We will now call for a motion to add the adopted provisions of the Historic Avenue overlay. I'll move to approve and add.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The adoption for the provisions passes. Now review of the minutes from the dates that I mentioned. Move to approve. Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Those minutes are good to go. Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.
I gotta start. Y'all gotta start speaking up a little bit, man. Y'all making me work today.